Gods and Goddesses, No Chance. Written by Donovan E. March. Within Loqian String's realm, Oblivion, the ominous red skies are the first to greet the Divine King's bright emerald eyes. The next is the colossal mechanism of which can best be described as a castle within rotating gears. The clinking and clunking are near thunderous. The bejeweled deity braces himself and walks towards the metal doors. The large entry automatically opens, like a mouth being served live food. He stops for a moment, assessing his position, his right hand clutching out of nervousness. But he proceeds into what awaits inside. Metal strikes metal, and steam screeches out in a shrill pitch. He witnesses shadows gliding across the darkness, only for the background to tear open with fire erupting before closing again. The shadows labor within the repeating industrial violence. He tries not to stare at them. He's heard of the tales of what happened to those who tried to complete the building of the tower. How they were massacred by a terrible judgment and were transformed into shadows of themselves. That terrible judgment being Loqian Strings. Just then, someone caught his eye, and it's a woman with crimson hair and pink-colored eyes, complete with 2 horns, 4 wings, and a scorpion-like tail. No, it isn't a woman. It's a demoness that's partially clothed. The black veil hides her lips. She stares at him for a few seconds within the corridor of sizzling iron.
Good to appear, Aherizu.
She speaks with a near bewitching accent.
That is King Aherizu to you.
The deity corrects.
A god plays as man. Amusing.
She's not fazed by his presence and gestures for him to follow. He takes a step forward, and the next thing he realizes, he's in a hexagonal office. In front of him is a desk made of corpses. But upon closer inspection, he sees that those bodies are still breathing and writhe in restrained agony. They lacked eyes and mouths. The deity feels his heart thrum with fear as he steps back, only to bump into someone behind him.
Oh, excuse me.
A feminine and masculine voice says. He turns around to come face to face with the one and only Asmodeus Lust. Its wine-red eyes and smug smile welcome the Divine King, along with its crude nudity, a combination between male and female.
Repugnant blight.
He curses.
A mistake given life.
That's mighty bold of you to say, my affiliate.
A gravely disembodied masculine voice states. The deity looks around, realizing who just spoke. Upon his second turn, he sees the gnarled being made of magma sitting at the desk, assembling an alien machination. The being peers up at him with eye sockets that brightly burn yellowish orange. Its face is nearly skeletal, no lips, only teeth that look like they were recently placed to represent an incomplete mouth.
Loqian.
The deity mustered confidence.
You summoned me.
Indeed I did. How was the trip? Wasn't a hassle, was it?
The sin of lust makes its way over to Loqian and offers something in its hand. Loqian smiles and takes it before lust makes its exit.
No, it wasn't.
The Divine King cautiously answers.
Good. Vycona, go on and take your leave. I wish for some privacy.
The demoness teleports. The Divine King, Aherizu, stands alone in front of Loqian Strings. The older male keeps tinkering with the mini machination before setting it aside. He folds both claws upon the meaty desk, those eye sockets slightly dim.
It's good to meet you face to face after some time.
Loqian begins.
I imagine dealing with mortals on a constant basis is an exhausting chore. They've never been bright, and I don't see why my wife continues to put up with them. But that's not my business to worry about, as of yet.
The Divine King glances at the poor souls before looking back up at Loqian.
They're fascinating forms of life. They're people.
Aherizu carefully retorts.
Oh, I forgot that your wife is mortal. My apologies. Let's focus on why you're here to save time.
You believe in time?
Death does.
All right, let's talk.
Loqian's teeth form into a smile.
Gladly. There's been a problem. One that's been cultivating for years. And lately my wife has been bothered by it.
Women. I think I understand your situation.
Yes. Women. How they are so fickle, yet abrasive. So emotional. It's enough to make a husband want to silence his wife for good.
Just when he thought things were easing up, the older being returns to the uneasy atmosphere.
She's crazy. So, the topic?
Ah, right. That I almost forgot. Let me put it this way.
Loqian decides to get up from behind the desk, causing the Divine King to realize just how tall and slender the jagged being of magma is. Loki makes his way over to the deity and fixes the shorter male's attire.
I understand that you're a talented young man with goals, and most of it has bore fruit. I mean, you have more than a dozen godlings running around. That's quite the achievement. But there is one thing. That's the problem I was alluding to. You and your rampant family have been a thorn on my wife's side, and frankly, I'll start cutting your bloodline down to lessen the, let's just say, liabilities.
The Divine King moves back, anger present on his face.
You think this is some sort of a cruel joke? I should bury you where you stand!
Loqian sighs, placing both ragged claws onto his bony hips.
I'm trying to be fair here, but I knew you'd have this reaction. Vycona, you may come in now.
The deity turns back as the sound of teleportation is heard. The deceptively attractive demoness arrives, but within her seemingly endless maw of teeth is the head of one of his children. The deity screams out, but gnarled fingers wrap around his mouth from behind.
Can you please stop screaming? My son is trying to sleep, and I'll get upset if he starts all that ruckus too. Be a man and shut up.
Loqian coldly says. The deity tries to struggle. His muffled screams and wrathful sorrow emphasize his pain as he watches the demoness consume the last bit of his child. He comes to quickly realize two things. One, that's no ordinary demoness. Two, he's frighteningly powerless. Loqian looks at Vycona and says,
Eat him.
She's quick to obey. Her stinger shoots out a barb, coming into contact with Aherizu's neck. His sight begins to blur, his resisting wanes, and his heart slows in seconds. He almost drops to his knees, though Loqian keeps a grip on his head.
Thought him to be alive?
She asks.
Frankly, I despise the weak more than the mortals. Nothing but a waste of air along with his children. By the way, how did that go?
She caresses the dying god's face, his eyes having a hollow look.
Ate the oldest. Want the younger to mature.
She leans in to begin consumption. Loqian shakes his head, not pleased, but at least he knows she plans to eat the rest.